What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. Now, I don't know who started this trend of all of us posting our 2016 content. And I don't know how the entire internet got aligned to jump on this trend and do it, whether you're a brand, whether you're a musician, whether you're an influencer, whether you're just a regular human being. We all somehow co-signed this trend and everybody's doing it. It has been so much fun seeing everybody's archival content and diving back into 10 years ago and just seeing how the world has changed. And it's changed in so many ways, but even just seeing the things that we would post on Instagram and the edits and the filters and there was such a vibe on Instagram and on the internet. And I hate to use the word vibe because I feel it's so outplayed, but that's the only way that I can really think to use it. It's been so fun to dive into my Snapchat memories. It's been a little scary too, I'm not gonna lie. There's been some things that I've seen and I'm why did I post this? Why did I wear that? Why was I friends with this person? But you know what? You live, you laugh, you love, you learn, you grow, and you get on with it. And now we are 10 years later, things are very different than they were in 2016, but that's life. Things happen. But it's been cool to see, the coolest thing to see for me at least is the people that I didn't know in 2016, the people that I met in let's say 2019 or 2020, a few years after 2016, who are posting all of these photos. And I'm I don't even recognize some of these people because that was 10 years ago. We were children. I was 21 years old. I am not the same person, rightfully so. None of us should be the same person we were 10 years ago. But seeing people that I met in the last few years in 2016 and the things they were doing, things they were posting, maybe they were living in a different city and it was just a different time for everybody. It's been cool to just play catch up almost with people that I didn't know then. And it's been cool just to kind of see everybody on board with this and just having fun and reminiscing. And it reminds me of a time when the internet was just fun. And even just thinking of pop culture in 2016, obviously, unfortunately, there was the election of it all. But the months leading up to it, we were feeling the burn. We were so optimistic for Mr. Bernie Sanders, the one that got away. And then we were all on board. I'm with her, with Hillary. And we were all so optimistic and, there were hopes and dreams, we were all very optimistic in 2016 and let alone the election. I mean, we had Beyonce exposing Jay-Z for cheating and Rihanna releasing music and their Pokemon Go was at its height. There were so many fun and just insane pop culture moments that happened in 2016. And looking back on all these photos and through my archives and stuff, I'm holy shit, it really was a crazy year just for the world. We all experienced something in 2016, whether good, whether bad, however you want to shake it up. It was a year for the books and it's been fun to reminisce and look back on it. However, unfortunately, we can't actually go back to 2016 and we are living in present day 2026 and we got to make the most of it as we can. So here I am to deliver you guys some pop culture news that was too pop to handle, as I do every single week. But yeah, that's kind of been the gist of the week. It's been freezing here in New York. So any of my people who are in New York or in the Northeast, currently it feels 8 degrees, I believe, if I remember correctly. It is freezing in New York, which is crazy. Oh, it feels 9. Excuse me. Let me not cut us short with a degree. But it was warm last week. And then this weekend we had snow and then we're supposed to get 8 to 10 inches of snow in New York City this weekend. Mind you, it was 45 degrees last week. It was very warm. It was I don't know what's going on, but keep asking ChatGPT if you should get back with your ex and keep asking ChatGPT for a grocery list because clearly the earth is fucked and we are just already past the point of no return with that. It's it's insane. I don't understand how all of this happens, but you know what? Don't say I didn't warn ya. All of that being said, let's get into the show before I spiral about AI for the 17th week in a row on this podcast. We have a lot to discuss this week. I say that every week, but I have 8 pages worth of notes for this week's outline. So there's a lot to discuss. A lot has happened since we last spoke. And you guys know the drill. We kick off every single episode with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week and our new releases coming up this week. And we had quite a few releases last week and very exciting ones. All artists that are on my most anticipated artists of 2026 list that I made a few weeks ago. So very exciting releases for me and hopefully for you guys as well. First up on the list, we had Hemlock Springs release WWWWW. I was let me count, make sure it's all 5 of them. So much fun. It's just something about Hemlock Springs to me is so exciting because she's not afraid to go off the cuff a little bit and like release music that like wouldn't resonate with the mainstream or radio, or, you know, it's not like general public friendly, which like sometimes that's great. And we love a generic pop song and we love a song that will like go number one on the radio or whatever. But like, it's really nice and refreshing and almost like a palate cleanser to have an artist that is releasing things that are very off the beaten path and off the cuff and like so true to who she is on all of her music. And even just like her vibe, there's that fucking word vibe again, but just like the, all, you know, her whole aesthetic and everything about her, it all fits so well. And she's so true to who she is. And I am loving this release. I'm so excited for this album. It comes out next month. So we are very close to this album coming out and I cannot wait. I really loved every single single she has. Every single single. Well, that was a lot of words all at once, but I've loved every single that she has put out for this album. And I cannot wait for this to come out. I am very excited. Another album that I cannot wait for that we are getting in 2 months in March is Slater. She released her new single Dance last week on Friday. And it's great. Just like every other single she's put out for this album has been incredible. I've been saying this since she started releasing it. And I feel like the world needs Slater right now. Like we need this fun dance, whatever you want to call it, music, very similar to like Hemlock Springs. This isn't a music that is like going to resonate with the general public per se. You know, we might get some of the Charlie XCX, you know, the stragglers there who like loved Brad and want that vibe again. But like, I don't know if they're going to soak it up, like sponge it up the way that some of us will. I just think what Slater's doing with this new album, with the visuals, with the production on it, is really, really cool and really exciting to like watch her evolve into this next phase of her artistry and, you know, whatever you want to call it. I remember when she debuted back in 2019 and like she was like so bubbly, hyper pop, which she still has that like hyper pop vibe to her, but she was very like electronic, hyper pop kind of vibe and like bubbly, whatever. Now she's just going for this more like, not grungy, that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's such a different vibe, but it still feels true to who she is. And like, it feels like a natural progression for her music. And I'm so excited to get this entire project, like I said, that comes out in March. And then the final single that we got last week was Hilary Duff, Roommates. Now, we chatted about this a little bit last week because we had gotten like 2 or 3 teasers of it. There was a lot of controversy online just based on the lyrics. People were like, what is this? People were comparing it to Anti-Hero because it has a similar, I don't know if it's a bass line or a drum line or it has a similar something there. You know, my middle school choir teacher is rolling over because she's like, how the fuck do you not remember all these musical terms you spent all these years studying? But you know what? It's been a lot longer than 10 years in 2016 that have looked at sheet music. So forgive me for not being the most musically inclined in that sense. But yeah, I don't know. People had a lot to say about the teasers, and I was a little like, I don't know what to expect from this. Like, I don't know what we're going to get from this Hilary Duff single, and it's exactly what I expected. Now, I say this with the absolute utmost respect. I'm not expecting Hilary Duff to be releasing groundbreaking, next level, earth shaking pop music. And that's not a drag by all means. Like, I am very much expecting Hilary Duff to go into this new era, release her music, release some fun little pop songs, and nothing groundbreaking, nothing crazy, and just like give us the Hilary Duff that we all know and love, this mature, grown up idea of Hilary. And like, we've all been following her career for so long. I mean, she really is like, I was texting one of my friends the other day and she was saying like, Hilary Duff was literally my first idol. Like, she was such a pillar in all of our early childhood days, you know, Lizzie McGuire, and then just like her metamorphoses and going into all of her music and Cheaper by the Dozen. And, you know, she was such like a staple in all of our childhoods. And like, she has grown up obviously so much. It has been so many years since Lizzie McGuire just turned 25 like 2 weeks ago. So like, it's been so long since she debuted and we all met her. So like, seeing her now releasing this music, I'm not expecting it to be groundbreaking, earth-shattering pop music. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to just like give us a little update of where she's at in her life. Is this like the most unbelievable, incredible, lyrical song I've ever heard in my life? No. Is her production fun? Yes. And honestly, that's all I'm expecting from Hilary Duff. I want to like feel good, have fun, enjoy the music, and just like ride the wave. So people are doing these think pieces about Hilary Duff, and I'm like, I respectfully just don't think Hilary Duff is an artist who requires a think piece on, you know, like that's not what she is here to do. And like, that is okay. On the topic of Hilary Duff, though, kind of veering out of our Drew releases, but we still have some things to chat about. Her tour kicked off last night. She's doing the Small Rooms Big Nerves tour. It started in London last night. I think it's only 4 dates. So she's doing London, New York, LA, and Toronto, I want to say. Canada somewhere. I don't remember. I want to say it's Toronto, but I could be wrong. And it kicked off last night. Set list is incredible. It is all the old hits that we want to hear, though I would have loved to hear The Math. I love that song, and it's not on the set list. That is okay. It is fine. You know, she has so many bangers. She can only sing so many. And I also can't talk about this little tour without mentioning the fact that I fully manifested what she does with Love. I made a TikTok like 2 weeks ago, I want to say, and I said, Hilary Duff, if you want your Sally moment, if you want your Apple dance moment, bring fans on stage and do the With Love choreography with them. It is an iconic moment in pop culture. You can't ignore it on this comeback. Like, it is such a huge part of your internet lore, and like her team has done such an incredible job at leaning into the nostalgia without leaning on it fully. Like, it's not the only thing she is presenting us with, you know, like she's re-recording old music, and like she's obviously leaning into it a little bit, but she's not doing it to a sense where it's like all she is focusing on is like nostalgia. It's very much like a new essence of Hilary within this new album. But the one thing I was like, she needs to do this on tour is bring fans on stage for With Love to do the choreography, because it just like, it's the Leah Michelle effect where like, yes, it was a meme. People were making fun of it, similar to Leah Michelle, who, when they said she couldn't read, and then as soon as Leah Michelle like owned the joke and like made it her own, it went away from the internet. People like don't say it as often anymore because she fully just like owns it. It almost like when you become the butt of the joke and like own it yourself, like it makes the joke not fun anymore. And I feel like people didn't make fun of Hilary for this dance. It was just like a funny meme that people would do, but like her reclaiming this and like doing it on tour with fans is so smart. And I feel so big brained for thinking of it before the tour started. I don't know if her team saw my video and maybe they got an idea, or maybe we were just like on the same wavelength before the tour started. But regardless, I feel very proud of myself that I was so on the nose with this prediction with it. But those are all of our music releases from last week. Now, this week coming up, we have a very exciting release that we haven't even spoken about fully in depth on the podcast yet because it happened after I released last week. I wrote about it in the newsletter over on Substack. So if you are not subscribed there, make sure you are, because that's where I give you guys all the in-between, you know, fill the crevices of the pop culture world when I'm not recording from Tuesday to Tuesday. However, Harry Styles has announced his new album, Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally, is coming out on March 6th. And we will be getting the first single, Aperture, this Thursday. It drops at midnight in the UK. So that's about 7 p.m. Eastern here in New York. You can do all the calculations for your other time zones. You guys know quick math is not for me. But we are so back. Harry Styles is releasing music. I, for one, cannot wait. I'm very intrigued at this idea of like a disco Harry Styles album. Now, just based on the title of it being Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally, I don't know how much disco we're going to get, given the fact that it's like disco occasionally and not disco all the time, kiss occasionally, you know? So I'm very curious to see like how the sound is curated and like what he gives us on this album, but I'm sure it will be great. I mean, Harry Styles is one of the only men in the world who can continue to release albums that are incredible, and like every single time I'm going to eat it up. You know, there's far and few men who really have me hooked like that in the music world, and he is one of them. So very excited for whatever Harry has in store there. But we are so back. The Harry Styles drought is officially ending, and I cannot wait for this new album. And that is the only thing that I have on my radar for this week. But I mean, when Harry Styles is dropping his first lead single in 4 years, what else do you need in the world? Like, I'm very content with that being the only thing on my docket, because I don't have space in my brain for anything else other than this Harry Styles single. So I am very excited for that, which means we have wrapped our Drew releases, and it is time to head into our moments from the week that were just too pop to handle, some pop culture rapid fire. But before we get into all the good stuff, I always like to take this time to remind you guys that if any point during this episode you are loving what you are hearing, go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment, hit subscribe. It would mean the world to me. It seriously is the best way to help support the show. But of course, I need to give you a show first to find out if you are are loving what you are hearing. So let's get into some pop culture nonsense, kicking it off with some news that I thought we would never be reporting on. The Euphoria season 3 trailer is here. It is real, it exists, and I have a lot of thoughts because I am so excited for this season. And I never thought the day would come. Like, I thought they were going to fully shelf this show. As many updates that we would get, as many times we would see filming, like I was like, until we see a trailer, until we have a release date, I do not believe that Euphoria is coming out. And alas, we have the trailer for season 3. And honestly, it looks pretty good. They did a pretty good job, I feel like. Obviously with the trailer, there's only so much that you can tell from what the show is going to be about. But like, based on the plot lines, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but the plot lines being like Rue has fled the country and is working in Mexico, I believe, to like make money to pay Lori back. And then in the trailer, we see Lori show up at the gas station and she's like, Rue, you owe me money. I felt every ounce of my body go numb. I was like, oh fuck, they're gonna get our girl Rue. Like, Zendaya, you better fucking run because they are coming to get you. I think the plot line with Jacob Elordi and Sydney Sweeney with Nate and Cassie is going to be really interesting, because just thinking about Nate and Cassie and everything we know about their characters, and Nate cheating on Maddie with Cassie, her best friend, and like that whole storyline, like to see them now, I don't know what the time jump is, but they do time jump out of high school, obviously, because it's been 19 years since they last filmed season 2, but they time jump and now we are obviously like up to speed in their adult ages, but like knowing that they, Nate and Maddie finally broke up because Nate cheated on her with Cassie, and they did this whole thing, and Cassie had this whole meltdown, and the whole whatever you want to call it. Now seeing like this side of their marriage where like Nate's finding about this side hustle that she did, and like whatever happens there, I'm very excited to see like how that all plays out. And of course we saw some other things. We saw like Maddie in LA and she's working as an assistant, I believe it was. We saw a little bit snippet of Rosalia. Like, we have a lot to unpack on this season. I'm very excited, and it looks like they're going to end it the best way that they can, just like with these characters really in the thick of these plot lines, and like fully, I don't think they're going to leave anything unanswered from the time jump, which is what I was really concerned about. But it seems as though we will figure out everything that has happened in between, and then like get all of our strings tied at the end, and really just like have a full rounded ending for this show. Because like when Euphoria season 1 and season 2 were airing, it was all the rave. Like, it was such a moment for the culture, and like the fact that we've gone so long without season 3, and like we are finally getting it. I'm so excited to see how it like infiltrates and penetrates the culture again, like it once did. And I'm definitely going to do a rewatch of season 1 and season 2 before season 3 comes out, because it's been so long. Like, I don't remember some of the things that happened, and I feel like there's so many little details within the show that like you need to remember to see season 3. So I'm very excited to like rewatch it, redive into this show, and like get prepared for season 3. It comes out in April, and I cannot wait. I'm not going to do weekly recaps of Euphoria because I don't like to do weekly recaps of scripted shows, but we will definitely be chatting about it as it goes along. Moving into the next moment of the week that was just too pop to handle. This story has been taking up so much space in my brain. It's all the drama with the Glambot and J.Lo, and now there's this wedding that's involved. It has been crazy. So pretty much what happened during the Golden Globes, J.Lo went to the Glambot, which we all know Cole is the host of the Glambot. He does it at every single award show. We see him literally on every red carpet. People are always so excited to see him. He posts so many videos of like the behind the scenes of it. He's typically a greenlit, everybody loves him kind of guy. So we see this video of J.Lo walking up to the Glambot, and she says all but 2 words to him in the entire interaction. She's like, nice to see you. Stands on her mark. He's like, how are you going to pose? She shows him how to pose, doesn't say a word. Very, very what you would expect from J.Lo. Like, I hate to say that, but like, she's a diva. She's very much just like here to do her job, do what she has to do, get her shot and go. And of course, the internet sees this and goes wild with it, as they do anytime a celebrity is rude to anybody. Understandably, nobody should be rude to anyone. We are all human beings. Let's spread kindness, especially in today's world. However, I do feel like J.Lo at this point, we've talked so much about J.Lo in the last few years on this podcast, and I've always said, like, I think she needs to kind of take a seat from the public eye for a few years, but clearly she is incapable of doing that, so that's no longer an option. But I just feel like at this point, anything she does is going to get backlash, and I don't think she cares. Like, I think she's at a point in her career where she's like, okay, I'm Jennifer Lopez though. Like, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it. I've gotten away for it for so long. And like, that's the problem. We've allowed her to get away with it for so many years. And like, that's society's own problem and like the industry, like letting her have this attitude problem and like whatever. And like, that's neither here nor there. So the internet, I personally think the internet would have glazed over this in a week. If they would have just left it be an open wound, it would have healed itself and would have been fine. However, Cole, who is the host of the Glambot and is the one that we always see helping the celebrities, you know, find their spot, find their shot, do their thing, who seems like such a lovely guy on the internet, decides to post a video addressing the J.Lo of it all. And this is where things started to get a little murky because, to be honest, I didn't even see the J.Lo Glambot video until he posted his. And after talking to some of my coworkers and like just like reading a few of the comments, like a lot of people didn't know about the J.Lo drama of it all until he amplified it, which almost like shoots himself in the foot at that point because now there's just more negative press on the situation and it somehow only gets worse. So he posted the video talking about how like I always get questions about what is the worst Glambot, who's the rudest celebrity, and J.Lo comes to conversation always. Like people always bring J.Lo up and he's talking about the Golden Globes thing and he says, you know, the Glambot's elective, you don't have to do it. So any celebrity who steps up to do the Glambot, I'm just happy that they're there. They do not need to stop for me. They do not need to do it. They're doing me a favor basically. And he's just happy that they're there. He makes a point that like it's a crazy environment. There's a giant machine coming at you with yes, that is true, but like they know what the Glambot is at this point. We've been doing it for 10 years. Like this isn't new things, you know? He says they're working and they, you know, some people are chatty at work. Some people aren't, which like to that I say, whether you're working or not, if you're on a red carpet, you know, cameras are on you, fake it, you know, especially the Golden Globes. It's award season. We're all there because we are actors, because, you know, we are our, you know, patrons of the art. Put it on, pretend to be nice for one night and then be a bitch when you get in the car or be a bitch when the cameras are down. Like, I don't think there's any, unless somebody is like, unless an interviewer is rude to you on the carpet, like, and you stand up for yourself, I just feel like there's no reason to be rude to people without any reason, you know? And like, especially like Cole said, the Glambots are elective. You don't have to do the Glambot. You are stepping up to this willingly to do it because like you want to do it. And like, granted, it is a big moment for everybody who does it. They always go viral. People love to post them. It is like a fun aspect of every award show or carpet, whatever, where like wherever they see them. So he makes this video and it's just very strange that he does this because it's like, why now are we making this video? Like there's been plenty of other instances where I'm sure people have been rude or whatever. And like now you decided to post this video. So people start speculating that J.Lo's team reached out to him and they were like, hey, can you just say something to like shut this down or whatever? Personally, I don't know if her team reached out to do this because like I said, I do feel like J.Lo like doesn't care anymore. And like any press is good press to her. Like she's like, I don't care. I'm Jennifer Lopez. Like I can literally do whatever I want, which isn't true. But like I said, we've let her get away with this for long enough where like she does kind of just do whatever she wants. But it was just a very strange video, I felt, because like it wasn't, I mean, it was making its rounds for sure. But like I said, like, especially right now, we're at the beginning of award season. We still have the Oscars. We have the Grammys in 2 weeks. We'll have the Met Gala. Like we have so many big award shows coming up that by the time the Grammys roll around, people will have forgotten about this. The Grammys are literally in 12 days. Like people would have forgotten about this. This wasn't something that warranted a big response like this. So people are speculating that maybe her team reached out or maybe the team behind Glambot was like, hey, we need to like cover this up and like, you know, make it seem like Glambot's inviting or whatever. And like, we're not going to post exposing videos of celebrities, you know, it just kind of give that rep of like, oh, is he going to post a video of me? And people are going to think I'm nasty because now it's a second caught off guard camera they're not thinking about or something like that. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is, but somehow that video gets posted and shit just continues to hit the fan. So out of nowhere, this woman, Yinka, posts these screenshots of emails that she has with Cole. And now here's where I'm torn. So these emails are from 7 years ago. They're from 2019 when Yinka was getting married and was reaching out to Cole to see if she could rent the Glambot for her wedding. Now, there is no reason to ever be nasty, and the things that he said in these emails were so unwarrantedly rude to a stranger and a potential customer, especially in 2019 when the Glambot was only around for like 3 years at this point. Like it wasn't like this was like a legacy thing. Like it was a cool thing at the time. It was like really taking off. People looked forward to it, but it wasn't what it is now. You know, it wasn't like this big phenomenon that people look forward to on the carpet and whatever. So she emails him and, you know, he's definitely rude. But my thing is, if this happened 7 years ago, why did you sit on these emails for so long and wait to post them? Like, do we think she was like waiting for this window to open and be like, oh, I'm going to wait for him to get backlash? Because like I said, Cole gets pretty good press and is like greenlit with celebrities where like they all love him. He has very good interactions with them. Like we see him always, they're like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. Always a pleasure. He's very bubbly and friendly and charismatic with all these people. So I'm like, was she just waiting for the right opportunity? Did she see this negative press and she was like, you know what? Let me like pile onto it. I don't know why she waited 7 years to expose these emails. Again, what he said, it doesn't make it right, but it does feel weird to me that like she waited 7 years for it. However, let's get into these emails because they are not, they're not in the best favor. Let's just say that. So she emails him inquiring about her wedding saying, hey, I want to rent the Glambot. Could you send me a quote? And he writes back and he says, hi, Yinka. Thanks for reaching out. Just so you're aware, the Glambot is a camera system and personnel used by a network television station for one of the biggest red carpets of the year. It is not cheap. If you feel like this is something that might be within your budget range, I'm happy to discuss further. So off the bat, already standoffish. She's like already assuming this woman can't afford the Glambot. And he's like, this is, it's on the biggest red carpets of the year. It's a camera system and for personnel used by a network television and it's not cheap. And like at this point, I don't think he was probably getting a lot of inquiries to actually rent the Glambot because I didn't even think that was an option, honestly. Like I didn't think that was a business venture that they were getting into. So I don't think people were like knocking down his door at this point to like get the Glambot at their wedding, but just to like assume somebody can't afford it right off the bat, the way that he has that tone, not great, but I seem like he was trying to like let her down gently. So she gets this email and she writes back and says, yes, I believe it will be my budget. Like I would love to get a quote. Like, could you please send it to me? I think this is something that we could work out. Now, granted, Cole knows nothing about this woman. It is fully like, she is just asking a question. She wasn't rude in her emails by all means. She was just very interested in having the Glambot at her wedding, which like the Glambot at your wedding would be fabulous. Like who wouldn't want that at your wedding if it is within your means? And spoiler alert, it is very much so in her means. And he writes back and says, copy. I don't see how you could be since I didn't say how much it was. And it could be anywhere between $10,000 and $1 million. So for him to his tone immediately switches in the second email. And for him to say that the range for the Glambot could be between $10,000 and $1 million. In what circumstance are you giving somebody a quote and saying it could be from $10,000 to $1 million? $10,000 is a lot of money to begin with. And like that is a hefty price for a camera at your wedding, but to give the range of $10,000 to $1 million just seems like you were trying to shoo this woman away and like get her out of your hair and like trying to turn her off. However, nevertheless, she persisted and said she is still interested. This is within her budget and like sends more information. He explains that it will take about 15 people to set up and it's this really expensive equipment and blah, 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 blah. Just trying to like fluff it to be like, oh, it's this big production. It's all these people we have to fly in. I have to rent the camera and then I have to hire all these people. And he tells her that it will be $300,000 with a 10% equipment booking fee and then a contract comes. So just for the entire Glambot, it's going to be $300,000. And just to book it, not even to like sign a contract, it will be $30,000 down without even like signing a contract, just to simply rent the equipment. And then she writes back and she's very pleasant. That's the one thing. This woman is very pleasant the entire email chain, which just goes to show you that like she's clearly interested. She's not like rude or standoffish or like intimidated by these prices. She's like, okay, cool. Like let me get back to you on Monday, she says. And he writes back and says, if you wanted to know how much, you could have just asked. And it's just wild to me that somebody would speak to somebody like this who is trying to put $300,000 in your pocket. Like somebody wants to rent your big, shiny, giant camera for 3 or 4 hours and put $300,000 in your pocket, and you're going to speak down to them as if you were like this almighty photographer, when realistically you're just standing there telling them where to stand and pressing a button. Like you're not the one operating the machine. You're not the one taking the photos. The fucking robot does it itself. It is literally a giant robot. Like this isn't like you have somebody holding it, shooting the camera, whatever. There's somebody behind it pressing a button and you're telling them where to stand. Like I don't understand where the audacity of this email comes from. And what the best part about it is that this woman, Yinka, her name is, she is loaded. She had 3 wedding ceremonies. And if you see these wedding photos, they are unbelievable. Like, there is no doubt in my mind that she could have afforded the Glambot 3 times over. She gifted all of her bridesmaids a Dior friendship bracelet to thank them for being in her wedding. Like, this woman had the money to rent the Glambot, and Cole fully just needed to like one up her and like act like a dick and act like he's all high and mighty for this. And it's just like really crazy considering so many people have such high regard for him. You know, like we see him on the carpet all the fucking time. Like he is on every single major red carpet, People's Choice, the Oscars, the Grammys, the Golden Globes, the Met Gala, I'm pretty sure. Like he is at every single award show and we always see such great interactions with him and people. Like it's always like people speak to him in such a high regard. So to see him speaking to somebody so negatively, it's like, oh, because it's not Billie Eilish or Ariana Grande or Jennifer Lopez, you're allowed to be rude to these people because you want to act like you're big and tough because your $1 million robot isn't going to be able to go to their wedding. And it's like, you don't get to speak to people like that. Like you don't, you know, especially with a business venture, it just seems so icky to me. And like, I'm very curious to see how the Glambot operates at the Grammys, at the Oscars. Like, is Cole going to be doing it? Are we going to bring back Joseph Kahn, who was originally the one who was doing it? I'm very curious to see how this all unravels and like if he's going to be at the Grammys, if he's going to be at the award shows coming up, because like this is not great. And like at the end of the day, he is representing E, I believe it is. Like he is on staff with this network representing them. And I don't see a world where like a network wants this kind of negative press, you know, like it just doesn't seem like red carpet friendly. So I'm very curious to see how this cookie crumbles and if the Glambot will be making an appearance at the rest of award season. Speaking of people who I'm wondering will be showing up for their job and at award season or anywhere, Karamo from Queer Eye has pulled out of all of his interviews for the 10th season of the show. He pulled out an hour before all of the interviews this morning because he didn't want to be bullied. And now I don't understand what is in the water with these Queer Eye men, because I just feel like every single season, like at this point, it's like, if there's a Queer Eye season and there's not drama about one of the cast members feeling excluded from the group, is it even a Queer Eye season? Like this is just, it's every season I feel like at this point. And if it's not every season, it's like it builds up to the point where like Bobby Burke has to leave and all this stuff comes out, or like there's a Rolling Stone article exposing JVN for being a terrible person that comes out and like somehow gets brushed under the rug. And I even remember this was like early days of the podcast. I believe it was my 20th episode. I looked back today to see, and now I'm on my episode like 100 and something. So this is forever ago. But I was talking about that Rolling Stone article and I was saying then, I was like, it's really like not surprising to me that like you put 5 30-something-year-old gay men in a room together, like there's gonna be drama, unfortunately. Those are so many big personalities, and like the goal is for all of them to be famous and to like go on and like become Carson Kressley or become Ted Allen. And like, you know, these are big names that were on Queer Eye when it was originally on. And the original Fab Five went on to make such illustrious careers for themselves and like do so many incredible things that like, yeah, they get handed this opportunity. They're gonna have a big ego and there's gonna be a lot of, you know, energy in the room. And after the first few seasons, everybody like running to JVN because they love him and everybody like drooling over Anthony because he's like the hottest person who's ever walked on the earth. Like there's going to be an ego inflation, you know, within this room. And I don't excuse any bullying for anybody, of course, but like I don't get why there's always this like shock factor around the Queer Eye men like bullying each other or like not being nice. Because it's like, have you ever hung out with a gay man? Like I just don't find these stories shocking anymore. So about an hour before they were all expected to be on set for all these appearances, Karamo or Karamo's assistant, somebody from Karamo's camp, emailed the producers and the host or whatever, and basically said Karamo will not be in attendance for today's press. And one of the emails said that I hope everybody remembers the main theme that I've tried to teach them over the past decade, which is to focus on to protect their mental health and peace from other people or a world who seek to destroy it, which is why I can't be there today. He sent a video into the Today Show or to NBC and said, I felt mentally and emotionally abused for years, and I was advised by my therapist to protect myself and my peace by not attending. And like, we're on the 10th season of this show, and like this is their last hurrah. This is the final season, and like they're done after this. And don't get me wrong, I love Queer Eye. I watch every single season. My boyfriend and I sob pretty much every episode. We absolutely love it. And like even knowing the drama that goes on behind the scenes and like the way that maybe these men actually aren't friends, BTS, like I still enjoy the show. There's a heart to it. There's love to it. And like it's a TV show. It's for entertainment. I'm not watching these men to like look up to them and become my role model. You know, that's not what I'm watching the show for. So though I do enjoy the show, like I can separate the art from the artists, you know? But I'm just like, for the 10th and final season of this show to be doing this press without one of the original members feels so wrong. And like watching their body language as Gail and all these reporters are like reading them these statements, like Jonathan is like in the other one's lap and Anthony and Tan are like holding hands and they're like all over each other trying to act like cuddly and so hurt and offended and upset and like, oh my God. And like, Anthony's like, I'm so surprised to hear this. Like, it's you know, I wish he was here. Like, just like, it just feels like so much fluff and bullshit from all of them. And like, I don't think they're bad people per se, but like, there's definitely this like facade that they all keep up. And like, there's this facade of like, they're all this like happy-go-lucky family and like families fight, but like, you know, we all come through at the end. And like, I don't think you guys come through at the end, because even when Bobby left, I'm pretty sure Karamo was the only one who actually like backed him up and like was there for him and like stood up for him in public. I'm pretty sure. Like, I think everybody else was kind of silent about it. So like, there's clearly a divide. There's clearly a hierarchy that they somehow have all made up in their heads. And like, it's just, on one hand, like, yeah, it's sad that like a show that it has been so fun to watch for the last decade is ending. But like, I'm like, thank fucking God. Like, I can't watch another Queer Eye press run where these adult men are fighting and bullying each other. I'm like, enough is enough. My God, thank God we're wrapping the show and ending it at 10, because I can't handle another press run of the Queer Eye men fighting with each other. It's just, it's too much. And I'm like, let's end it. Let's call it a wrap. And I'm very happy that we are putting a pin in this. And I'm waiting for the expose about Queer Eye in like 5 to 10 years. It's going to be a documentary or a tell-all book. Once the NDAs, you know, once they're done and everything, one of them's going to release a book. I put money on Karamo or Bobby. They're going to release a book saying everything. Or you know what the real sleeper hit would be? If Tan France came out, because he's kind of quiet, you know, like he's friendly with everyone. He seems very close with everybody, but I could see Tan being the one who like is the sleeper agent in the group and is like collecting all of this data and tea on everybody. And then in like 10 years, when his NDA is up with Netflix and they all, you know, the dust settles right when you like, right when they're out of our peripherals and we think like we can't, you know, we've escaped them, they're done. I can see Tan France coming in with a killer fucking memoir and it's like I don't know, the Real Eyes for the Queer Guys or something, you know, it's going to be something like really cheesy about like Queer Eye and whatever. Like, you know, it's going to be like the Real Eyes for the Queer Eyes or something like that. I could see Tan France being a sleeper hit. And like 10 years from now, if that happens, hopefully we're still doing this show. Maybe it's on a larger scale and, you know, we're still yapping into a microphone, maybe not in my living room, maybe in a podcast studio, but, you know, dream big. I don't know. We're going to come back to this. I'm going to put a pin in this and see. But I, for one, cannot wait to never hear about another Queer Eye press run because I'm fucking exhausted by these 40-year-old gay men. Moving on to some more positive news and our final moment of the week that was too pop to handle before we get into some very juicy drama from this week. Megan Thee Stallion has become the youngest female rapper to own her masters and also own 5 businesses. And like you guys know, I will take any opportunity to celebrate Megan Thee Stallion. I think she's the bee's knees. I think she is incredibly talented. I think she is so smart, so strong, so beautiful. And I love this. And she even made a statement. She was like, the blogs won't write about the fact that I own 5 businesses. I own my masters. Like I'm doing all these incredible things because they just want to write about like the negative things. And I'm like, you know what? You're right, Megan. Somebody's got to be the voice of reason for you. And I'm happy to do it. So as of this year, she is, not only does she own her entire master, she is the owner of 5 businesses. Like I said, she has her premium tequila brand, a swimwear line. She owns a Popeyes franchise in Miami. She has her independent record label called Hot Girl Productions. And she is the founder of her nonprofit organization, the Pete and Thomas Foundation. And I just like, the thing with Megan Thee Stallion is like, she came onto the scene so incredibly hot and like has not cooled down since. Like as soon as she broke into the mainstream in like 2019, she has truly been working nonstop since. And like, I feel like a lot of people forget Megan Thee Stallion was fully in college when she was blowing up, when Hot Girl Summer and like all of that was going viral and she was having those huge debut breakthrough moments. She was fully in college college, still like on a college campus getting her degree because she was like, I need to finish school. I need to like get my degree, do what I have to do, and then I can go pursue this. But like she fully had this career blossoming under her while she was studying. And she's gone on to do so many incredible things in such a short amount of time. And I feel a lot of people also don't talk about the fact that like not only has she gone through all the bullshit of like being shot and like the Nicki Minaj drama and like so many people just like turning on her in her life. Like both of her parents have passed years ago, and like she has literally been navigating this entire life just without her parents, doing all of these things, like truly dominating all of these spaces. And like for a Black woman to be doing this, that is not an easy feat. And like watching her continue to like come out on top every single time is so admirable. And like I said, I will always celebrate anything Megan Thee Stallion does. And seeing this news just, it made my heart so happy. She also told People magazine that she is finishing up Act 3 of her album rollout and plans to release new music later this year. She said, I'm definitely in the studio. I'm kind of hiding from everybody right now because I really just want to work. I'm completing Act 3 and the music is dropping this year. This project follows her 2024 releases, Megan and Megan Act 2. So I didn't realize she was doing this like 3-act thing. And like I didn't even think that she would be releasing music this year because I knew she had so much else going on. And like I said, she came into the scene so hot and kind of never cooled down. She just continues and continues to work and grow and do more and more. And I mean, I'm happy. There's never enough Megan content personally. And I feel like all of Megan's business ventures make so much sense for her. And I love to celebrate her and I love to uplift Megan Thee Stallion in any opportunity that I can because I just think she is the best thing since sliced bread. That being said, moving into our main topic of this week's show, the Brooklyn Beckham drama of it all. My fucking God. So we need to like rewind a little bit. And now I will say I haven't covered the whole Beckham drama of it all because not that I don't care about it, but it's not a story that I'm like waiting for news from until now. Like I've been waiting for something so big and concrete to actually chat about before I just bring like little snippets and tidbits to the podcast. Cause like I could have talked about Brooklyn Beckham not being at David Beckham's 50th birthday party, but like what was there to say? Like, oh, he didn't show up. Okay, cool. Like, you know, there's like, until there's like something major, I'm like, how do I report on this without it just sounding like a nothing sandwich, you know? But my God, is there something to report on now because Brooklyn Beckham has officially broken his silence on the entire drama going on with him and his family, his parents, his wedding, everything of the sort. So we're going to get into everything that came about this weekend, of course, but like I feel like I can't just start there. I need to go back just a little bit. So we're going to fill in some blanks for anybody who doesn't know and anybody who needs a refresher, because I know I did. There's a lot that's happened. So I was like, I need to like refresh on all of this. It all kind of stems back to 2022 when Brooklyn and Nicola got married. They had the whole Vogue spread and they, you know, Nicola was supposed to wear a Victoria Beckham dress and she ended up not doing it because there was all this stuff about like the dress wasn't ready and, you know, the designers couldn't finish it in time and whatever. They were working on it for months and it was this whole thing. And there were some rumors and, you know, things swirling. There was some drama and there was a feud within the family, but nothing was concrete. And like the two of them had just gotten married. It was the first Beckham kid to get married. It was like a huge deal. So not that it went untouched, but it kind of like got swept to the side. There was also these blind items that Victoria had this like weird dance moment with Brooklyn that kind of went nowhere, but people kind of kept it in their pockets to be like, that was weird, but like we'll shelve this for a while. And through the years, of course, like Nicola has been in movies, the Beckhams had their documentary, and like everybody shows up for each other. They're posting for each other's birthday and they're showing up to red carpet and things like that. And then there was this one post in, I think it was 2024, where Brooklyn just posted about how much he loves Nicola and he's always going to stand by her side and will always be there for her. And it was just like a video of them. I believe they were on like a dirt bike or a motorcycle. And that kind of started to like sweep up some old things that people would see, whether it was like weird photos of them together, like not fully smiling, or like the things from the wedding. And people started to kind of like be like, you know, we're not really seeing Brooklyn with the Beckhams as much as we used to. Is it because of Nicola? Like, is there any fallout there? And then the first real like nail in the coffin was last May, when David Beckham turned 50 and Brooklyn and Nicola were not at the party. And I mean, whether your dad is David Beckham or anybody, like when your dad turns 50, it's a huge birthday. You know, if you are on speaking terms with your father, you're going to be there. Like there, you know, it's not like a 37th birthday where it's like, hey, sorry, dad, I have something going on. Like I can't make it. The 50th birthday is a huge one. And when it's David Beckham and the Victoria Beckham and David Beckham of it all, like there's going to be a huge star-studded, you know, big event kind of thing. And for your oldest son to not be there, it's weird. Like it's very strange. And it kind of started to get people to like raise their brow. And then a month after that, June 2025, Brooklyn and Nicola were having dinner with Meghan and Harry, which the Meghan and Harry of it all is, there's so much lore there. Meghan and Harry, they were very close with David and Victoria for a while. And then there was this weird rift and like separation between the two. There were some rumors that maybe Victoria was spreading gossip that Meghan told her to some tabloids. And, you know, they had to distance themselves. And it was kind of this like silent falling out that like no one really knew what happened. But there was a clear divide from the two parties. And there's a lot of parallels between what Brooklyn and Nicola are doing and like separating themselves from their family and what what Meghan and Harry did with the royals and like leaving. Of course, Meghan and Harry like fully leaving the royal family and moving to California is much more drastic than like Brooklyn Beckham being like, I don't want to be around my parents and moving to California, but like similar paths, you know. So similar in the same month, Brooklyn and Nicola purchased a house in LA. And then in August of 2025, Brooklyn and Nicola renew their vows without any of the Beckhams present. And so this immediately starts to like strike up conversations because like, why would they renew their vows 3 years later without any of their family present? And you can only think back to like the blind items of Victoria making a scene like during the dancing moment and the whole dress fiasco of it all and like all of that. So that definitely like started to like put people onto their path a little bit more. I don't know if this has much to do with it, but it's definitely something to note that in November of 2025, David Beckham was knighted by King Charles III at Windsor Castle, just kind of adding to the royal of it all and like showing the way that David and Victoria are very connected with the royal. So it would make sense that like there would be a rift and a shift, you know, between their relationship with Meghan and Harry once they leave, and like seeing Meghan and Harry kind of take Nicola and Brooklyn under their wing, it makes a lot more sense. And it kind of shows the parallels of like how they're separating from their families there. October 2025, Brooklyn is absent from Victoria Beckham's Netflix documentary. He's like seen in the background of it a few times, but like he's not a present character in it, which of course obviously raises brows there. And then last month, people realized on Instagram that David and Victoria no longer follow Brooklyn and he doesn't follow them back. And their son Cruz screenshotted the article and posted it on his story and said, my mom and dad would never unfollow their son. Let's get the facts straight. They woke up and blocked, as did I. So this just confirms that not only did they block him, which obviously broke the follow between the two of them, but now the kids are getting involved and also have it out for Brooklyn and their sister-in-law and like want nothing to do with them. And that was like a huge shift and just like confirmation that there is this giant feud within the family. And now we have January 2026, current day, where Brooklyn Beckham breaks his silence after all of these years. And now this is a very long statement, so I'm going to read through it. I'm going to read it through it and then I'll give you my thoughts. I'm not going to stop in between because I think that would take longer. So let's get into this statement because it is lengthy. He says, I've been silent for years and made every effort to keep these matters private. Unfortunately, my parents and their team have continued to go to the press, leaving me with no choice but to speak for myself and tell the truth about only some of the lies that have been printed. I do not want to reconcile with my family. I'm not being controlled. I'm standing up for myself for the first time in my life. For my entire life, my parents have controlled narratives in the press about our family. The performative social media posts, family events, and inauthentic relationships have been a fixture of the life I was born into. Recently, I have seen with my own eyes the lengths that they'll go through to place countless lies in the media, mostly at the expense of innocent people, to preserve their own facade, but I believe the truth always comes out. My parents have been trying to endlessly ruin my relationship since before my wedding, and it hasn't stopped. My mom canceled making Nicola's dress in the 11th hour despite how excited she was to wear her design, forcing her to urgently find a new dress. Weeks before our big day, my parents repeatedly pressured me and attempted to bribe me into signing away the rights to my name, which would have affected me, my wife, and our future children. They were adamant on me signing before my wedding date because then the terms of the deal would be initiated. My holdout affected the payday, and they have never treated me the same since. During the wedding planning, my mom went as far as to call me evil because Nicola and I chose to include my nanny Sandra and Nicola's nanny at our table because they both didn't have their husbands. Both of our parents had their own tables equally adjacent to ours. The night before our wedding, members of my family told me that Nicola was not blood and not family. Since the moment I started standing up for myself with my family, I've received endless attacks from my parents, both privately and publicly, that were sent to the press on their orders. Even my brothers were sent to attack me on social media before they ultimately blocked me out of nowhere this last summer. My mom hijacked my first dance with my wife, which had been planned weeks in advance, to a romantic love song. In front of our 500 wedding guests, Mark Anthony called me to the stage where in the schedule was planned to be a romantic dance with my wife, but instead my mom was waiting to dance with me instead. She danced very inappropriately on me in front of everyone. I've never felt more uncomfortable or humiliated in my life. We wanted to renew our vows so we could create new memories of our wedding day that would bring us joy and happiness, not anxiety and embarrassment. My wife has consistently been disrespected by my family no matter how hard we've tried to come together as one. My mom has repeatedly invited women from my past into our lives in ways that were clearly intended to make both of us uncomfortable. Despite this, we still traveled to London for my dad's birthday, where we were rejected for a week as we waited in our hotel room trying to plan quality time with him. He refused all of our attempts unless it was at his big birthday party with 100 guests and cameras at every corner. When he finally agreed to see me, it was under the condition that Nicola wasn't invited, and it was a slap in the face. Later, when my family traveled to LA, they refused to see me at all. My family values public promotion and endorsements above all else. Brand Beckham comes first. Family love is decided by how much you post on social media or how quickly you drop everything to show up and pose for a family photo op, even if it's at the expense of our professional obligations. We've gone out of our way for years to show up and support at every fashion show, every party, and every press activity to show our perfect family. But the one time my wife asked for my mom's support to save displaced dogs during the LA fires, my mom refused. The narrative that my wife controls me is completely backwards. I have been controlled by my parents for most of my life. I grew up with overwhelming anxiety. For the first time in my life since stepping away from my family, that anxiety has disappeared. I wake up every morning grateful for the life that I chose and have found peace and relief. My wife and I do not want a life shaped by an image, press, or manipulation. All we want is peace, privacy, and happiness for us and our future family. I mean, whoa, like this is loaded. There's a lot to unpack here. And I mean, the main thing that I take away from this, it is clear that the Beckhams have tried to paint a perfect image of their life and their family and protect their name, which I can't blame them for. When you think about Victoria and David Beckham, like they have been in the public eye for years. And like the two of them are a power couple in culture, not even just like in pop culture, like truly in culture. They are a huge power dynamic. Like they have built a legacy brand in the Beckham name. So I understand that they want like a perfectly polished kind of vibe. I mean, Victoria Beckham won't even perform in the Spice Girls because she wants to focus on being in the fashion world and like being this like perfect painted picture. And it's like, girl, even Beyonce goes back and performs with Destiny's Child. Like you are not above performing with the Spice Girls to protect this new image that you and your husband have made for yourselves. And it's always kind of given me this weird feeling about them, but I understand why they want to protect their name, especially in a situation like this, where their name is now getting, tacked on to somebody else's name. And not to mention, Nicola Peltz has a lot of money. Like her family are capital B billionaires. And like, there's a lot of power dynamic in this as well between the Beckhams and the Peltz. Like, I feel as if like, not that they were threatened by this, but like, I understand why David and Victoria would want to protect their name, but it does get to a point where like, in a legal battle, sure, in a sense of like a prenup or things like that, I get it. But if, Brooklyn saying every photo op and things were all faked, and like even the whole story about the dress, if that was all fabricated and like his mom actually did step away at the last second and decide to like stop designing the dress, like that's fucked up. That's not cool. And like that definitely does paint a negative picture there. But like at the end of the day, I'm so torn because like Brooklyn Beckham wouldn't be Brooklyn Beckham had it not been for what his parents built. Like there is something to say about like being a Nepo baby, and like you do have, you don't get to like reap the benefits of being, a Nepo baby and also not like understand the weight that comes with it. And like, I know that's such like a twisted, weird world to live in and like things to say. And like, you guys know, I'm obsessed with Nepo babies. I love a Nepo baby. So this is like right up my alley. I live for shit like this. But like, I understand where Brooklyn is like, I don't want to be controlled by my parents and their narrative anymore. But it's like, okay, then like get out of the press and like stop. I believe he's like released books before and like all the things he's booked, like, they're because you're a Beckham. It's not because you're like a superstar athlete or a pop star or this like crazy artist. Like it's because your last name is Beckham. So like you can't have your cake and eat it too, you know? So like in that sense, I understand where David and Victoria are coming from when they're saying like, no, like sign these papers that I'm pretty sure were probably just a prenup of being like, no, protect your name because God forbid you get a divorce and like this doesn't work out. Who knows what they can come for us. And like, there is, like I said, a huge power dynamic. And I'd be really interested to know how this happened, how, like what it's like on the flip side with Nicola's parents and like what they feel about this and like what they've done. And like, that is a blind spot for me just because I feel like the Beckhams are the ones that I really pay attention to in this whole situation. But speaking of Nicola, like I've heard so many people say in the press and like there's so many evident pieces of her being like a monster to work with. And people have said she's like not pleasant. She's a mean girl. Of course, I don't know this girl. I have no firsthand experience with this, but like she's definitely floated through friend groups multiple times and she's definitely kind of like hopped around, not clout chasing per se, because that's a very derogatory term and she doesn't need that because her family her family is so wealthy and like so well off that like she doesn't need to quote unquote clout chase the way that like we say it, you know, where people like need to like social climb. But like, you know, she jumps from friend group to friend group and like she has had many of reports where people are like, she is nasty to work with. I don't want to work with her. So like there's that element of it too. Like you truly don't know what's happening behind closed doors. And like, maybe she is controlling of Brooklyn and like, maybe she is the reason that like there are all these rifts and like whatever, but like, it clearly all stems back to the wedding. Like there was definitely bumping heads during wedding planning and like that's going to happen in any family. You know, there's going to be, if the parents are paying for a part of it, which I'm sure David and Victoria put money towards, as did Nicola's parents. Like I'm sure, you know, a lot of this was paid for by the parents because they have so much money. And, you know, you bump heads and, you know, there's creative differences and planning and things like that. And like, this is David and Victoria's firstborn having his wedding and, you know, it's his big day and they probably were bumping heads in the creative process of it. And like, I can imagine Victoria Beckham being a monster-in-law and like not being the nicest mother-in-law to Nicola during this process and the whole dress problem. And like, once she found out that Brooklyn was having issues with signing these papers, I'm sure she did kind of sabotage the dress. And like, not to mention the whole like Mark Anthony of it all, which is just so bizarre. And like I said, that's what a blind item they came out when the wedding happened, but like there wasn't like much detail about it. But like now guests are coming out and saying like, yes, this was here. It had this is true. This happened. It was very bizarre. And apparently like Mark Anthony was up on stage supposed to hand off Nicola to Brooklyn and they were supposed to have like a first dance moment. And he announced the most beautiful woman in the room, Victoria Beckham. And like, she was up on stage waiting for Brooklyn, which like, that is crazy to like have Mark Anthony, to have anybody at your son's wedding announce like the most beautiful woman in the room and it not be the bride is very like, you're clearly stepping on toes. You're clearly trying to like pack a punch and like make people feel uncomfortable. And like, there's no videos of the dancing. We don't know what happened though. The memes of it are fucking hilarious. I'm like, all the people posting like these funny dance videos saying this is what Victoria did at the wedding are killing me. But like, I don't know how inappropriate she could have got into like a romantic love song sung by Mark Anthony, you know? Like, I'm curious how quote unquote inappropriate she really could have got into. Like, I'm imagining this as like a romantic lovey-dovey first dance slow song to dance to. So I don't know how like inappropriate, but like a lot of the guests did say it was very uncomfortable and like a very obvious like dig at Nicola. So like, this is literally the plot of Monster-in-Law. Like, this is literally a rom-com come to life. And like, I really see fault in both parties. Like, it's hard to take a side here. And of course, like, I don't know these people. Like, I don't know what actually happened. But like, on one hand, I really do see David and Victoria's point where like, they have built the legacy of the Beckham name and like polished this vision of who they are and their perfect family. And like, they're basically, I mean, David Beckham was literally knighted by King Charles. Like, he is clearly very well respected in the UK. And like, it's just like they've worked so hard to create this perfect life for their kids. And it almost seems like once one of the kids goes off the beaten path, they're not happy with that, which like isn't okay and is very toxic. But I understand where they come from in a weird, twisted way, if that makes sense. But then on the other hand, I also understand where like, Brooklyn Beckham, I believe, is 26 years old. And like, if for 23 years of your life, you were living under this idea that you had to be the perfect son and you had to have the perfect photo and the perfect photo op and be in the documentary and walk the red carpet and be at the fashion shows and be this perfect model, whatever, to be like the perfect angel child, especially the firstborn, like a lot of the pressure probably did fall on him in that sense. Like, I do understand the rebellion of it all. And like, I understand why he wouldn't want to succumb to like everything that they want him to be and things like that. It's very sticky, and I can't imagine going through something like this at all, but also like in the public eye at that. It's just a very toxic situation. And like, it's very, very fascinating to me. And like, I'm dying to know how it goes the next time a Beckham kid gets married. Like, the next time a Beckham kid gets married, I need cameras up from the second they propose to the second the wedding ends. Like, I need a full camera crew following around Victoria, David, the Beckham, the husband, the wife, whoever it is. I need cameras up for the entire wedding planning process up until they leave and have their send-off at the wedding, because I need to know if they are as crazy as everyone's saying. Like, there are so many things that point back to the wedding being the root of all the problems between Brooklyn, Nicola, Victoria, and David. Like, I need to know how this all went down. So the next time a Beckham kid gets engaged, please have a camera crew up, because like, we need to know who is right, who is wrong in the situation, because there's a lot of finger pointing, but there's a lack of accountability on all sides. It's a real problem. Like, nobody wants to own up to something they did wrong because everybody wants to look right in the public eye, which is the real root of all the problems. And the last thing I'll say is like, I feel like there's no going back from this. Like, this is irreversible damage, and like, either Brooklyn and Nicola go like Olsen level separation like they did from Full House, and like Brooklyn and Nicola never speak of, never speak to, never see any of the Beckhams ever again, or in like 10 to 15 years, we have like a Christmas photo of the entire family with Brooklyn and Nicola in it. And it's this entire like break the internet moment. Brooklyn and Nicola move back across the pond and they're like connected at the hip. And like Nicola and Victoria are best friends and like launch a fashion line. And David and Brooklyn have this whole like huge moment together, father-son campaign, whatever it is. And like, there's no in between. It's either like all or nothing. And I'm going to say right now, it's going to lean nothing. Like, I think Victoria and David are so proud of the name that they've created for the Beckhams, as they should be. They've truly created like a legacy name within the family. I think they're too proud. And I think Brooklyn and Nicola are too proud. I think when you have two Nepo babies that are married, like, there's no shaking them out of that. They have been born in with a silver spoon in their mouth, and like, they're never taking the spoon out, whether they are separated from their family or not. Like, this is a mindset that they are born into, whether they want to admit it or not. So like, I think, like I said, there's no accountability from either parties. And I just don't think there's ever any resolving this. But the fact that Brooklyn Beckham even made this statement, and like, it wasn't just a statement, like this was like 8 slides on Instagram. Like, this was a long statement. This really feels like the true final nail in the coffin, to the point where like the coffin is like 15 feet under and like there is no digging this coffin out. It's crazy. This was like, when I saw this happen, I was like, well, there's the show. Like, there's the podcast episode this week, because like, what else is there to talk? I mean, clearly there's nothing to talk about, the Glambot of it all, but like, this was like, this is huge. This is major. And just like knowing all the lore. And like I said, like, I've been like wanting to talk about this for so long, but it just always felt like, it's like, okay, they didn't show up to the 50th birthday party. All right. Like, it was like, there was never anything where it was like major packed a punch, but this really feels like the bow on top. Like, there is no going back from this. And it's fucking crazy. I'm not going to lie. But moving into the second to last segment of this week's episode, our TV recap. You guys know the drill. It is another day in the workroom, and we are recapping RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18, Episode 3, I believe. Yes, Episode 3. This week's challenge is RDR Live, which is their take on SNL. Personally, I love RDR Live. I think it's a lot of fun because there's so many different opportunities for the queens to showcase different skills. These are roles that they wouldn't play in a rusical or an acting challenge, because they're like bite-sized acting challenges, so they really have like a minute and a half tops to really make their mark and like shine through in these challenges, which is not an easy thing to do, especially 3 episodes in. Like, this is not an easy feat. And I love to see them kind of under pressure. So I love RDR Live. I was very excited for this. So we see, you know, the queens picking their roles or whatever. And to nobody's surprise, Athena has a problem with something happening in the workroom. And this is now the 2nd episode in a row where we're seeing Athena have a problem with the way things are going. And realistically, I think it's just that Athena doesn't like to not be in control. So when she's not in control of the challenge and picking the roles or picking the songs or picking who's in what group, she just like malfunctions and has to say something. She's like acting too cool to work with Briar and acting like she's above it. And like, you know, and like, don't get me wrong, Athena Dion is very talented. And like, there's no denying that she is a very talented queen. She's great at what she does. But like, though I think her talents will take her very far in this competition, her attitude is becoming a little insufferable. And like, that sucks because I really want to root for her because I think she is great at what she does. But like, it's getting a little insufferable. It's like, girl, shut the fuck up, take the role. If you're so good at what you do, like if you are so good at being a host and doing drag and doing all these things, and like, you're supposed to be this like jack of all trades, do it. Take the role, take the song, take whatever it is and prove these bitches wrong. But like, by being so opinionated on the role that you're not getting and like not wanting to work with Briar and not wanting to be in this group and calling it the leftovers, like you're leading with this like sourpuss attitude that just, it's such a turnoff to me. And I'm like, you are and should be so great. And you're just like shooting yourself in the foot week after week after week, which is not the narrative I thought we were going to get from her this season. Like, I really thought she was going to be like at the top of the game, already showing us that she is like a front runner in this show, because that's truly what I believe she could be. But her attitude is just getting in the way. And it's like, it's not great. And on the topic of the Dions, we see Juicy Love, who you guys know I love oh so much, struggling a little bit in the workroom. She doesn't really know how to grasp this challenge. And she's like a floundering fish. She doesn't really know how to get in the groove of this acting challenge. And then Mikey, her scene partner, and also like the theater queen supreme, apparently, steps in and like helps her out and is like, hey, do it like this. And of course, Mikey is her scene partner, so she wants to have somebody good to riff off of. But I thought it was really nice the way that she took the time to like coach her through it and kind of help her. A spoiler alert, they ended up knocking it out of the park, but we'll get there. So we have that happening on one side of the workroom. And then on the other side of the workroom, we see Jane Don't crying, getting in her head, saying because she's doing so well in the competition, she feels that people are like almost turning on her and she's like doing too well and it's going to put a target on her back. And to that, I say absolutely fucking not. Like, you are in a competition. It is not your fault that you came to this show more prepared than the rest of the girls in this room. If they are feeling some type of way because they can't keep up with your talent and what you brought and the way that you are performing in the first few weeks, that is their problem, not yours. And granted, this was now filmed a very long time ago. So of course they got over it. They did what they had to do. But watching this, I'm like, absolutely not. Do not feel bad that you're doing well in this show. It is a competition. And like, if you think about people like Bianca Del Rio, who like was consistently doing really well in her season and like never let anyone having a target on her affect her. She continued to soar the entire season. She ended up winning. And like, it's just like, you can't let things like that get in your head, because it literally, you become your own biggest enemy in a situation like that. So I'm really hoping that she understands, like, famously, this is not RuPaul's best friend race. Put a fire under their ass and like make them step their pussy up, make them come a little harder and try more, because you're continuously coming out on top every single week. It's not your fault. It's their fault for not coming more prepared the way that you are. But that's neither here nor there. Getting into the RDR Live, Briar and Athena end up opening the show, with Athena being the host and Briar being her inner saboteur. Like I said earlier, if Athena is so good at hosting and such a grand drag queen and like, so good at what she does, this should have been better. I feel like it wasn't bad by all means, but it just kind of felt like it was one note. And similar to Briar, like Briar just kind of acted like Briar, which is easy to do when you're a drag queen on a TV show playing a character. Like, you are just being yourself, which is great in the workroom. But if you're, ham it up a little bit, be a little more devious and a little more, annoying or whatever. It's like, turn it up a little bit and like really commit to it, because I feel like the two of them both, they just like went on the stage, acted like they would in the workroom, and like thought that that was fine. And it's like, yeah, that's great in the workroom, but when you're on the main stage doing RDR Live hosting and being somebody's inner saboteur, ham it up for the camera. We want a little bit more. And it kind of fell flat for me. Then we get into this like butter churning competition skit with Darlene and Mandy. And I'm going to say it, Mandy was not as bad as the judges made it out to be. I thought she was really funny. I thought she like really sold this character and took it to a whole different level that like was just like, it made it funny and made it unique. And even like her and Darlene playing off of each other, they were almost like trying to one up each other. And it was just, I thought this sketch was really funny and really well done. And like, I think they were really hard on Mandy when they didn't need to be. I don't think Mandy deserved to get the critique that she did for like being outside of the box and being funny. Like, I thought it added to the lore of the character. So I don't know. I felt bad for her this week. Vita, Nene, and Kenya, I honestly thought their sketch was a little forgettable. I'm not going to lie, but it's funny because the three of them are some of my favorites. Like, I love the three of them so much, but like, even when I was like typing my outline, I was like, I'm missing a sketch. And I was like, oh my God, it's the whole lipstick one. They were funny. It was fine. It wasn't groundbreaking. It didn't really stand out to me much. Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of a little forgettable, which hurts me because I love the three of them so much. And they are some of my like front runners in this competition, specifically Vita and Nene. And then I just love Kenya. I think her energy and spirit is so great. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They could have just, I thought it could have been a little bit better. I don't know. Moving on, we have like the weekend update, the Queen's Report, whatever it's called. Jane Don't just played this mom so well. She stole the show. She stole the entire scene, like as we expected. Similar to what I was saying with Briar's inner saboteur, she kind of just stayed on one note and it just wasn't, I don't know. I just didn't love Briar this episode. She just wasn't great. I did think Ciara Miss was a lot of fun. I think she could have gone a little more caricature with it, like gone a little more silly, campy with it. But like, I think she was good. She wasn't groundbreaking. She was safe this week. And I think that's fine. But just like, similar to like Athena and Briar, like you could have camped it up a little bit, been a little more silly and fun. Like, this is RDR Live. You're spoofing SNL. Be fucking stupid, you know? But I have to say, Mikey and Juicy were my absolute favorite parts of this entire episode. This Michelle Visage like origin story skit was so hilarious. I thought Mikey did a great job at embodying Michelle, and Juicy really stepped it up for this challenge. She really came in swinging and really just went for it. And I think the two of them worked so well together. They volleyed off each other really well. They really embodied this whole like Jersey girl, silly, you know, gaudy kind of vibe. They killed this challenge. I was so impressed. It was so much fun. Like I said, they played so well off of each other. This was a great week for the two of them. And then we take it to the main stage for this week's runway, which is Animal Attraction. First up, we have Discord Adams, who is an albino alligator. This walk will never die. Like, she will continue to walk as if she has weights tied to her shoulders until the end of this competition. And at this point, I love it. It's her signature walk. I think it is fucking hilarious. And I like this look a lot. I thought it was really cool, very unique. I thought the bag was freaky as hell, but honestly, I liked it. I thought it was cool the way the eyes were like moving and like lighting up and stuff, but it was very, very fucking weird. But I understand what she was doing in the sense that like she was wearing, as humans wear like crocodile skins on their bag, she was wearing human skin on her bag and, you know, like making some double entendre or something, whatever you want to call it there. But I like this look. I thought it was good. It was very Discord coded, I will say. Next up, we had Mia Starr, who went as a pink poodle. And this was really cute. I liked it a lot. It wasn't anything over the top groundbreaking, but I liked this. I thought it was really cute. And she just played into it a lot. Like, her movements on the stage were fun, and the way like the pom-poms bounce while she walked. I thought this was really fun. Next up, we had Mandy Mango. Like I keep saying, Mandy Mango's ideas are great, but the execution is not. She was the deer this week, and the neckline just killed me. It was like such a clear divide between her bodysuit and her neck. And like, it's a simple pull your necklace up and put it there and you won't be able to tell. Like, it's not a hard thing to fix. Cause otherwise, like, it was a cool idea. I liked the movement of the skirt. I liked, you know, it could have been really good. And like, deers can be so whimsical and like beautiful and, you know, in like a mystical kind of way. And like, it could have been so much better. But like I said, like the table and like the flower basket, like great ideas, terrible execution. And it just pains me to say, because I feel like Mandy has a really great spirit, like I kept saying, but I'm not there in the workroom to help them out. So what can I say there? Next up, we had Darlene. I'm obsessed with Darlene Mitchell. I think she is so fucking funny. And honestly, I did not think I was going to love her as much as I am. And she continues to crack me up every single week. I am loving her. This was hilarious. She came as a full brown cow stunning moment. And the details on this is really like where it sold it. Like the nose ring, the ear tag, the milk jug. Like there were so many little details with this that really just took it to that next level. It was so good, so much fun. Darlene is just like a breath of fresh air in this show. She doesn't take herself too seriously, but she brings fun and good looks to the show that are like very impressive. I don't know. I'm really enjoying Darlene's campiness and like trashiness, if that makes sense. Like I'm still not over the bikini one from last week. That was so fun. It was just stupid and silly. And the things that I love about drag, I'm loving Darlene Mitchell on this season so far. Next up, we had Athena. This was great. I really, really like this. Like I said, she is so talented and really knows how to do drag to a fantastic level. The details on this owl look, the mask, like the little gold details, the embellishment. She knew where to put the certain jewels on her body and like how to fit the bodysuit to herself and everything. Like this was so well constructed. And it's what I'm saying about like, she is so talented, but her attitude is just killing it. Like it's just completely shooting herself in the foot. And it's like they're not equating. Her talent and her attitude are not at the same level where like her looks aren't that great where it like diminishes her attitude. Like it's not evening out the way that I need it to. Next up, we had Briar, who went as a swan. I liked it. I didn't love it. It was kind of simple. It was like a pretty dress. The mask was a little like, I wanted like a bigger beat, go draggier. It was very like thin, go big, like go drag, like really go over the top with it. Similar to what I was saying with her performance, like go for it. You don't need to play it safe, play it big. This is RuPaul's Drag Race, not RuPaul's Safe Drag Race. Like go big or go home, So that's what I'm going to say. Next up, we had Vita, who I feel like always goes big. I loved this. The headpiece, the makeup, this was fun. It was really well done. I will say the ear drove me crazy. She didn't paint her ear. Even if you just painted it white, I understand like the zebra stripes would have been hard to do on an ear. That did stand out to me, but like that headpiece was very impressive and she's just good at what she does. She knows how to fit her body. She knows what works for her. And this was another great week for her on the runway. I really, really like this. This next one, Nene Coco, 10 out of 10. This look was incredible. She was a little poison dart, tree frog, whatever you want to call it. The wig, the makeup, the bodysuit, the movement on the runway, the way that she like jumped down to all fours. This was incredible. I absolutely love this look. It was great. Next up, we had Kenya Pleaser. It was simple, but she sells it. Like she was born to be on a runway, on a stage. She has so much charisma when she steps on a stage and like she lights up a room that she could literally be wearing a t-shirt and shorts and she would look like she's walking down a couture runway because she just has that star power. So though this was very simple, I still think it was a really good week for her just in terms of just like her showing her skills, showing her talent, showing her charisma, uniqueness, nerve and talent, if you will. Sierra Mist. Now, I've been loving her so far this season. I think she's really, really fun. This was a lot. I didn't hate it, but it was like, there was a lot to look at and not a lot in a good way. I was like, there were so many colors and big head and then small body. It was like, I understood what she was doing and like, it was cool and well constructed, but I was a little just like, whoa, what am I looking at? But I liked it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I was just okay with this. Jane Don't. This gown was gorgeous, but it didn't go as far as I would like her to. I feel like Jane Don't, like she has the capabilities to really like go all in on looks. And don't get me wrong, this was stunning. This was a gorgeous dress. It was really well constructed. And you could argue that like she went a more couture route with it instead of going this like silly, costumey, campy route. But I don't know. It's something about it. I was like, I wanted it to be a little bit more dramatic and big and not like a gorgeous gown, but like maybe that was her point. She didn't want to do what everybody else did. And like, if that's the case, I applaud her for that. But I would have loved like a big beak. Like she did like a prosthetic or like something to give it a little bit more. Maybe she had like big wings or something for the dress. She was a macaw, parrot, whatever the fuck you want to call the bird. Like if she had the gown and then like she revealed like big feathered wings or something, I think that would have been really cool. But I just wanted a little bit more from this. But like her performance in the main challenge was so great that like I can't be mad at it. Like she was still great. Mikey Meeks. Okay. The hair was great. The hair was really, really cool. But the outfit wasn't anything crazy. It was good, but it was nothing wild. And I think her outfit is what held her back from being in the top from the main challenge this week. Like, I think she was so great in the main challenge. And if her look was just a little bit better, she would have absolutely been in the top and potentially won. I thought she was really, really great, but I do think her runway didn't help her at all this week. But you know, there's many other weeks for her, and this was still a great week for her in the main challenge. And I liked the look. It just wasn't anything like over the top. And speaking of over the top, Juicy Love Dion, this was beyond. This was unbelievable. It was so well constructed, really well done. The way that it moved on the runway was gorgeous. I have no idea what animal she was being, but I loved it. It was great. This was really, really cool. Very couture. Great week for Juicy. Like she really killed it on the runway this week. And we come to find out that the top queens this week are Darlene, Jane, and Juicy. And like I said, Mikey could have been in the top if her outfit was a little bit better, I think. There's a fair judgment for everybody, but I do think Darlene and Jane's runways were just like a smidge better, and then paired with the runway. Like I think it could have been like Darlene, Juicy, and Mikey, or Jane, Mikey, and Juicy. I think Juicy would have always been in the top. I think she really had a breakthrough moment. But I do think Mikey, if she would have had like a little bit of a better runway, she could have been in the top and she could have potentially won. But all of that being said, I am thrilled to announce that Juicy Love ends up being the winner of this week's challenge, which is so exciting. I've been rooting for Juicy since she got announced in this cast, and it's been she hasn't had the best few weeks so far. So to see her like go into this challenge being so intimidated by an acting comedy challenge and not knowing how she was going to do, to then win it was incredible. And I am so proud of her and so excited to I hope this like gives her the spark she needs to like continue to just like bulldoze this competition and like really show that she has it in her. This was such a great week for Juicy, and I'm so happy that she has a win under her belt. But if there are 3 tops, there have to be 3 bottoms. And this week's bottoms were Mandy, Briar, and Vita. Now, I don't think Mandy was terrible in the challenge, like I said, but I do think her runway shot her in the foot. And this is her 3rd time in the bottom. So it makes sense. And, they have to kind of look at the competition as a whole. I agree with Briar. I agree with Vita. I think Briar was kind of one note and dry. And then Vita, I forgot about in the challenge, though I love her and I think she's a great queen. I forgot about her skit completely. So I have to agree there. But the bottom 2 end up being Mandy and Briar. They lip sync to Love in Real Life by Lizzo. And Mandy, unfortunately, goes home. Now, I do think that Mandy turned that lip sync out. Briar was great as well. And it does sound like I hate Briar this episode, and I don't. I really do enjoy Briar. I think she's a lot of fun. This episode just wasn't my favorite. Mandy did a great job in this lip sync, I will say. However, I think just with her track record and like if she was in the bottom 3 times in a row and she didn't go home, like I don't know. I understand why she went home, but I'm like, I don't think she did that bad in the challenge to warrant it. But I think just with her track record and the runway, like I said, I understand where the judges were coming from. And we do see Mandy go home, which is sad, but she has a lot of polishing to do for her drag, and I think she can really step it up, and she can really take these great ideas that she has and this like really fiery spirit that she has inside of her and really like level up her drag in a way that like nobody's prepared for. And I really hope to see some great things from Mandy Mago in the future, because like I said, I really like her spirit. I think she's really, really sweet, but it just wasn't her time on Drag Race. Maybe we'll see her on an All Stars in like 2 or 3 years and she's really just like stepped her pussy up. And like, not for nothing, she has a full-time job as a nurse in a hospital. Like, she doesn't really have the time to dedicate to drag all the time. So like, it's not an excuse. And if you're going on Drag Race, you should be more well prepared. But potato, potato. It is what it is. But that is Drag Race this week. We're moving on to the next week. And I believe it's like a red carpet challenge next week, which I think will be a lot of fun to watch. So you guys know the drill. We will recap it next week. And that is Drag Race. And then before we get into our final segment, of course, we are in the middle of a Traitor season. So we have to go visit the castle. We got 2 episodes last week. So I kind of just did bullet points again. I'm not going to go through and recap every single thing because I think recapping 2 episodes is insane. So I'm going to just do my bullet points. And then next week, this week specifically, it'll be 1 episode. So I'll be able to recap just 1. But doing 2 full recaps is a lot because I have a lot to say. So let's just go through my notes. I did not see Caroline's murder coming. I for sure thought they were going to murder Ron. I just didn't think they were going to go for a housewife so early and get a housewife out. But it was smart for Candace and Lisa to go for a housewife because it takes the target off of their back. But I did not see that coming. Watching Monet trust Candace in the challenge and say that she thinks Lisa is a traitor, breaks my heart because I don't want Monet X Change to go home or to have a target on her back from the traitors, but this is exactly what that set her up for. But also B, it shows that Candace is playing a great game in the castle and none of the faithfuls, think that she is a traitor clearly because Monet is so openly chatting with her and trusts her. There is clearly something to applaud in her gameplay there. I just wish it wasn't Monet. I'll get there in a minute, but come on. But we get to the round table and Tiffany really held her own here. She really came with a decent argument and was just playing the game, saying what she suspected. And the way that Colton fully just targeted her and flipped it on her and I don't like him. I don't like Colton. I don't like the boy at all. I want him out of the castle. I think he is way too cocky. I think he thinks he knows everything. I think he thinks he's the ringleader, and I'll give it to him. He is able to sway these people very well. He has a charm. He is very handsome, though he is fucking crazy. But he wears these sweater vests. He has these muscles coming out. He has this twinkle in his eye and he's gay. So people are going to favor him a little bit more. We do get the favor card from the girls at least. But I'm over it. I think Colton is acting like he's the ringleader, like he's this big, smart macho man, and he's just not. He has been so wrong until Lisa, but we'll get there. He's been so wrong on every single traitor, which is fine. That's how the game goes. But the way that he leads these round tables and acts like he is God's gift to this fucking castle, it's get a grip, dude. You're not fucking doing rocket science. You're playing a game in a castle and trying to pick out a fake traitor. It's so, not that he shouldn't take it seriously, but he takes it to a point where you can tell his ego is getting so inflated in this castle, and I'm over it. I'm tired of it. I don't like the way he turned this on Tiffany and completely targeted her and just flipped it on her. I did not like that at all. I want him out of the castle. Now, I will say, Eric's whole thing about I heard somebody laughing and I'm positive it was Tiffany. That was a bold thing to say. That was a very big statement to make. I don't think he was saying it being swayed by Colton because he did allude to it at the beginning of the episode. I forget if he told us at the beginning of the episode in a confessional or if he told us he heard a laugh and then saved it at the round table. Regardless, doesn't matter. I do believe that he did think that he heard Tiffany's laugh and it didn't help her case at all. But he came in so hot and for Tiffany to not even be outside when this happened, it's dude, come on. You can't come in so hot with this evidence. That's not even real evidence. He was swinging with this evidence and it was swing and a miss, so it just didn't help Tiffany's case. I was sad to see her go because I thought she was playing a really good game, or at least an entertaining and smart game. She wasn't on any of the traitors. She was saying Jam Jam, Michael, and Ron, I believe were her 3, which none of them are traitors. But again, it just goes to show these traitors are good. They're playing a really good game this season. And I don't usually root for the traitors, but I think I'm rooting for the traitors this season. They're fucking killing it. And speaking of things the traitors are killing, they kill my queen, my love, my girl, Monet X Change, which breaks my heart because Monet X Change is not only my favorite drag queen ever and my favorite RuPaul's Drag Race contestant ever. She is so smart and knows this game so well. She's such a big fan of these game shows, and she could have really like taken this game so far. She was already on to Lisa. Like, I know why they killed her, because they know that she's a threat and know that this was going to start to expose Lisa as a traitor. I understand why, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. Like, I know Monet could have turned that castle upside down had she stayed longer, which is why the traitors murdered her, of course. But it doesn't make it hurt any less. It doesn't make me feel any better about it. So I was devastated to see Monet leave. But if Monet leaving meant that Michael Rapaport was leaving the castle in the same episode, I will take the L if it means we got that annoying piece of shit out of the fucking castle. But before we discuss the Michael Rapaport takedown roundtable that was the most enjoyable thing I've ever seen on television, I have to take a moment and just talk about Rob and his overalls, because wow. Thank you so much for your service, Rob. Like, he is just fun to look at. Johnny said it the best. He's so hot, I can't even look at him. And having him in those overalls for as long as we did, God bless those producers for keeping all that footage of him in those overalls in, because it was quite the treat to my eyes and America's eyes, because everybody is thirsting over him, just like they were on Love Island back last summer, whenever that was. But back to the game at hand, and not just thirsting over a hot man in overalls. Michael Rapaport leaving the Traitors Castle is the best thing to ever happen to me. The way that they all band together and said, I don't care if you are a faithful or a traitor at this point, I just want you out of the castle. That's exactly how I have felt since the second he got announced to be in this cast. Like, I was like, I don't want to see him on my screen. 5 episodes was 5 episodes too many. He should have been the first one out of the castle. He has been nothing but annoying, frustrating, completely off target with all of the people he is guessing, and just the biggest man-child I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that they all finally band together and we're like, we just want you out. Get out of the castle. We are over you. We are done. Thank fucking God he is out. And now we can just proceed through the season, go on, and I'll have to worry about this annoying little mosquito in our ear that is Michael Rapaport, and watching him eat as if he's swallowing the plate. I'm like, are you starving where you need to eat the plate too? The way that this grown man eats food, it's so disturbing to me, let alone all the other insane things he says, which, speaking of, the whole comment about Colton holding a secret and him being the one who can keep a secret for so long. He's saying he didn't mean it in an offensive, homophobic way. I personally don't believe that, because what else do you mean? How else do you frame that? It's just he doesn't think before he speaks. And when you are a man of his age and are doing things like this, it's you've got to think a little bit, especially in a scenario like that. You've said some incredibly offensive things online where people know your take on a lot of things, and especially given your politics and where you stand on all of that murky water, we're all going to assume you meant it in a homophobic way, no matter how you want to spin it. It's just so unnecessary. And though I want Colton out of the castle tomorrow, I do feel bad that that was what went down at the round table. That was unnecessary. And whether, you're a good or a bad person, nobody deserves to be spoken to like that. So I didn't love that. Granted, I still want Colton out of the castle. It doesn't change anything there. And then we're left on a cliffhanger to know whether or not somebody took a shield. And I think somebody took a shield, and I think Colton took a shield. I think he is very selfish in this game and is really looking out for himself and trying to, we see him leading the round table every week and trying to just completely sway everybody to be on his side, which is fine. That is, the faithfuls have to band together, and he's clearly trying to be HFIC, head faithful in charge, but it's enough is enough. But I do think, though he is playing this perfect faithful, I do think he took a shield. If anybody took one, it's going to be Colton. I'll be shocked if anybody else did, but we will have to wait and see until Thursday. I would imagine if the traitors can kill somebody, they will kill Colton, just given the fact that he's on to Lisa and Rob was there and was able to say it. But I worry that if they do kill Colton, everybody in that room is going to start to be like, all right, well, who was in the room with us? And they'll be able to start pointing out who was who. I don't know if they would pin Rob as the traitor, because I think he's playing a very smart, quiet game and people trust him and think he really is in it for the faithfuls. Like, I think Rob, all the traitors are doing great. Lisa's doing okay, but like Candace and Rob are playing a great game as traitors. And I don't know if they would pin him as the traitor in the room, but it definitely doesn't help a case, like it definitely will put like a mini target or at least like a red flag on him for them to like revisit later when they inevitably like kick everybody else out, because all they can do is kick out all these faithfuls minus Donna Kelsey, which I'm still saying was a producer pulling some strings, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I'm loving this season, honestly. I think it has been such a good season so far, and I'm so excited to keep watching. Alan did say in a press interview somewhere that like episode 6, which is the episode we get this week, is like crazy and like really where things take a turn. So I'm stoked for this week's episode, because I'm like, what's going to happen? Because it's already been such a crazy 5 episodes, but I guess we will have to wait and see until it's time to go back to the castle. And with all of that being said, we have made it to the final segment of this week's episode. You guys know the drill. We end every single episode of Too Pop to Handle with a yes and a mess. A yes being something I am loving from the week, and a mess being something I am not loving from the week. And we always start things on a high note here at Too Pop to Handle. And my yes this week is the man who is on everybody's lips. Well, one of 2 men who is on everybody's lips. Hudson Williams making his Fashion Week debut in Milan over the weekend. The way that these boys, Connor and Hudson, both are working, but specifically Hudson right now, just with the Fashion Week of it all, the way that they are working is so insane. They are in a different country every other day at a different event, doing this, doing that, showing up here, going to Golden Globes, going to Fallon, going to Seth, going to here. That like, it is insane. And I think the reason I'm so impressed and loving it so much is the way that like they are, like I said, it is truly a phenomenon that we're watching in front of our eyes. But knowing that Hudson does love fashion so much and is so inspired by fashion, I was listening to Evan Ross Katz podcast today, Shut Up Evan, and he was on it, and he was like naming all these like fashion icons and whatever, and like he's very into fashion. Seeing him make his debut at the D Squared show was so incredible, considering like he was a no-name actor a few months ago, and like now he's like opening a Milan runway show, and like the fact that like everybody is so welcoming to him and Connor both, that really speaks to their character. And like it's nice to see the industry opening the doors for them so much, because like there's been instances where like people come onto the scene and like people are a little standoffish and they don't really want to give them the love and respect, and they don't want to like let them in so easily. They want to make them work a little bit more, which is fair. Some people work a long time to get to where they've been at in just 6 months, but like it's really nice to see the way that like people are so welcoming and loving to them. And I'm sure part of it is because they all want to like jump their bones, and like they saw their asses and they're like, you know what, like let me get a piece of that and be nice to them. And you know what, that's their own inner problems to work through. But I've just been loving watching all of this, and like seeing Hudson walk on that runway. I was like, this is so cool that like he was just on this little show that was in Canada, not supposed to be this global phenomenon, and now he is opening a show at Milan Fashion Week. It was just very cool, and it's a nice thing to see, in a world where people are usually not treated so lovely so early on in their career. So love to see that. And switching gears to my mess for this week. This pains me to say, because I grew up loving High School Musical. High School Musical was my entire world when I was 10 years old. And the day that I'm recording this, High School Musical turns 20. That is insane. That is legitimately wild. I feel so old. But High School Musical turning 20 isn't my mess for the week. My mess for the week is the way that Disney is handling all of these anniversaries. We have had 2 major anniversaries for Disney Channel specifically this year already. Lizzie McGuire turning 25 and High School Musical turning 20. Now, Lizzie McGuire turning 25, why didn't we do something for that when Hilary Duff is literally launching her pop star career again? No idea. Like, why did we miss out on that opportunity? Beats me. High School Musical turning 20. Now, for all my youngins out there who weren't old enough to watch High School Musical or understand High School Musical's impact on our generation, this was the biggest thing that could have happened to our ears back when this aired. It was reaching such a huge level of success and fame that no TV movie had ever seen before. Like, the phenomenon that was High School Musical was so unprecedented and so like nothing we have ever seen before. And it was really this like new birth and new age of Disney Channel. It gave it this whole new second lease of a network. Not that it was a dying network by all means, but like when High School Musical came onto the scene, it was the start of something new, dare I say. And it was such a huge moment. And the fact that like we got some shitty merch and a few dolls to celebrate. Where's the reunion? Where is, even if they all don't want to get together, where's like the video messages and on, you know, like something more than a few ugly t-shirts. Like I just checked my phone and Jocelyn sent me a photo of the merch that they released. And it is literally a circle that says High School Musical 20. And if you're on visual, I'll show you guys if you can focus and see that. It is literally a circle on a black t-shirt. They have it on a tote bag, on a hat. It just says High School Musical 20 years. And that is it. That's the merch. That's that. What? It's so ugly and so bad. And I'm telling you guys right now, if Disney Channel treats the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary the way that they are treating Lizzie McGuire's 25th and High School Musical's 20th, I am going to have some words for Mickey Mouse. I am going to have some things to say to the HMIC, the head mouse in charge, because these are huge milestones for these giant franchises that made you so much money and made your network so incredibly relevant and in the conversation and shifted culture in ways that like no television movie had done before. And maybe I sound dramatic. Like High School Musical was truly my personality trait when it came out. Like it was such a huge deal to me, as it was to so many people my age. But like it was, if unless you were there, you don't understand the shift in which High School Musical, Hannah Montana, that whole few month era of Disney Channel, there was a clear shift in the culture when those two things premiered. And like, if we are not going to get a proper celebration for High School Musical, which really, don't shoot me, but I think High School Musical deserves a bigger celebration than Hannah Montana. Don't kill me, don't kill me. I think it does. If we don't get a sizable celebration for the Hannah Montana anniversary, there's going to be some words. I'm going to get on this mic right here, and I'm going to say a lot. And I say a lot every week, but I will have a lot to say for that because I am so let down by the lack thereof, High School Musical 20 celebrations. I thought we were all in this together. I thought we were popping to the top. I thought we were once a wildcat, always a wildcat. It's not feeling like your head's in the game, Disney Channel. All right. I don't know, pissing me off. And with that, we have made it to the end of this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you guys liked what you heard and listening to us as a podcast, please go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating. It seriously is the best way to help support the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you drop a comment, hit like, all of the buttons except unsubscribed and dislike. You guys know the drill by now. If you would like some extra moments of the week that were just too pop to handle in between podcast episodes, head over to my Substack, which is toopoptohandle.substack.com. I will have it linked down below, and subscribe to my weekly newsletter Popping In, where I share extra moments of the week that were just too pop to handle in between podcast episodes. And if all of that is not enough, because there is never enough too pop to handle in your life, you can always follow us at too pop to handle on all socials, or follow my personal at Andrew Ducatola across all social platforms. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Oh, actually, quick little notes for next week. I'm going to record next week on Monday because Tuesday night I'm going to Hillary Duff. I know I've said it so many times, blah, 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 you're tired of hearing it. However, I'm going to record it on Monday night because I'm going to see Hillary on Tuesday. So I won't be talking about Hillary on next week's episode. It will be the episode after. So if you want like real-time updates and thoughts, follow me on TikTok. I will be posting there on my personal. Follow me on Instagram. I will be posting all about it. But if you're waiting for like information and my thoughts on the Hillary Duff show, because I know there's a lot of weight on this, you will have to wait for the podcast episode, not next week, but the week after. Or follow me on TikTok and you'll get live updates there. And with that, I have yapped for way too fucking long. Goodbye.